she's an itty bitty spider with an itty bitty body, and she might just come for She's a snake crawling, creeping on the floor. If you give her time of day, baby, that's your first mistake. She will swallow you whole for you know.
Yeah, that's my intro. So one of the things I always forget to do is to give shout out to certain players, man. I want to give a shout out to Luke from Server 76. I'm not really sure if that's his in-game name, but shout out to the whole Server 76. Definitely want to give a shout out to Hadion from 69, I believe. Yeah, from Server 69. Yeah, so, you know, he sent me a lot of reports over from his drivers for a driver video that I got coming up. I don't have the actual reports anymore. I got to start utilizing the Discord a little bit more so that I can be able to keep the mail. The in-game mail disappears over time. Definitely got to give a shout out to Tamarisk from my server, Server 11. You know, like, you got to give props to the people who are helping you learn the game so that you can help others learn the game. And Tamarisk is one of those people where he doesn't even agree with everything that I say. So we bandy back and forth some ideas. Most of the time, he just tell me what he think. But, you know, he be right sometimes. Sometimes I be right. Sometimes we don't know who right, and we just pick a position on it. But it's important to make sure that I acknowledge that I don't just learn all this on my own, that I have a lot of people throughout the game who have contacted me and corrected me on some of the things that I said, or bandy some ideas back and forth and put together strategies on how to be able to understand some of the terminologies. And in light of that, I definitely want to go back and fix some of the stuff I said in the last videos dealing with the Awaken heroes. So one of my problems was with Lilith, right? My big problem with Lilith was I still feel like she should be the apex hero when it comes to the Awaken ability. You know what I mean? However, you know, especially after talking with Tamarisk, you know, we got a chance to see that it's not just this skill isn't bad. There's problems with it, but it isn't bad. And the reason why it isn't bad is because one of my mistakes is I took it when it says shooter damage. I was reading damage, but I was understanding attack. You know what I mean? So when you see 5%, 6%, possibly 6%, but as we know, 5% max that she can get, that is a lot when it comes in terms of damage. Because damage is a stat that you don't see get increased a whole lot. Typical damage, if you don't got no shooters on your team, might be like 1%. You know what I mean? The damage rate to the shooters. So it's a low percentage to start with. So to get an extra 5% on it is something that is huge and is going to be very beneficial. The problem with it is the fact that that you need 5 shooters. It only applies in a 5-shooter team. All of them is going to have to be shooter heroes in order for that. So it really takes away from having a mixed hero team. And, you know, that's not a bad thing because the way the game progresses later on in the game, it seems like it makes more sense to have a full team dedicated towards one troop type. That's the way it looks now. The game continues to evolve and things change as the game progresses. Like in the beginning of the game, you know, you're going to prioritize defense. You could prioritize defense. But later in the game, man, even like he gave me a number. The number was like, you know, fighters might be 1,150% attack with a 1,000% defense or health. You know, and you know that attack makes up a lot covers a lot of ground. So focusing on just one troop seems to be definitely the right way to go. I'll tell you something else, man. When you think about the focusing on just one troop being the right way to go, it might be a good justification as to why shooters might be better than fighters. And that can go, you know, that's an argument that's back and forth. A lot of people are still going to choose fighters because the fighters directly counteract shooters. So people are going to go with fighters I'm going with fighters, despite the fact that I feel that way about shooters because of how much damage, how much attack, and how much, how high shooter attacks start off on the base. Despite that, I still went towards fighters. I did it because I was focusing mostly on defense. Later in the game, as it progressed, you're not going to focus on defense. You're going to be focusing mainly on attack. However, because fighters, they directly target shooters with their skills, that's why I chose to stick with fighters. So I'm progressing more towards a fighter team. The other things that he was, me and him was going back and forth on was the Ivan and Hawkins. I did during the last video retract my statements dealing with Hawkins because I noticed that his Awaken ability is 100% every single time. I'm still, on the fence with it because it's splash damage. Splash damage is going to hit the back row. However, 100% of the time is a great ability. One of the things that he was mentioning to me was that despite the fact that, because he uses Ivan, despite this fact that it says 35%, he sees it proccing a lot throughout the course of the battle. You know what I mean? It says 35%, it procs a lot throughout the course of the battle. That's still a problem for me, that it proccing a lot instead of proccing every single time. However, it does do a lot of damage when it does proc. So in his view, the low amount of time that it proc in comparison to the amount of damage, it makes up for each other. It makes up for each other. When you look at that and you say that, well, the amount of damage it does makes up for the low proc, you can see why you would still take, because like I said, matches be going over 100 rounds, 150 rounds. So over 150 rounds, you got three chances for it to, you got a chance for it to proc every 3 rounds. It could proc approximately 5 to 10 times. Not to mention, it can actually proc all 15 times throughout that time. So, the amount of damage that it does when it does proc, it kind of makes it a little bit worth it. So I definitely wanted to get back and to put that out there instead of to just disregard Ivan Hawkins. And the last time I didn't even mention Jaina. Hadeon swears out that Jaina, whenever her ability is awakened, it applies in battle also. But the way that it reads, and I'm going to show you the reason why that's a problem for me. The way that it reads is gathering speed plus 25%. Great. Troop attack 55% when gathering. So the way that it reads is only when gathering. Now, maybe that might help out when you're going into the court's mines. You know what I mean? So maybe it might help out there. But I just can't imagine from what he's saying that it applies also in regular attacks. He doesn't know why. But even if that is the case, this is what Hadeon was telling me that it does. But even if that is the case, they're either going to have to change that wording or they're going to fix that and it's not going to do it. So until they change that wording, to me, Jaina, that 25%, kind of is cool, but you're not, the gathering. Everybody knows if you can gather faster, it's just always worth it. But the 25% is kind of cool. But other than that, when it comes to battling, Jaina is just not a hero I would prioritize. And her focal point is, of course, going to be gathering. So I'm not big on her. She's a driver hero, just so anyone was curious about that. So I didn't even mention her because I don't even consider her when it comes to attack. She might be okay when it comes to dealing with the PvP aspects with arena and this, that, and the third. So that's something that your person could definitely possibly consider. However, I didn't even mention her because her skill, according to the way it reads, I'm just not even fascinated with it. Yeah, so basically I wanted to get that out, because I just did the Awaken video. So I wanted to get that part out so people can really make a good decision on what they're going to do with their Awaken abilities. And yes, I did say that the game it changes as you progress. In the beginning, I remember when the game first started. In the beginning, like if you're on a new server, like the new one, the 100 just dropped. They just gave us some rewards for dropping the 100th server. If you're just now starting out, then you're going to probably start out with just using your shooter heroes and just attacking full shooter team, going in, destroying everything. But then defense is going to kick in as you start progressing, getting up to level 25. And when you get your TC to 25, around that time in the beginning era of that portion, defense is going to be a big thing. If you have a really good defensive team, you're going to pretty much be able to defend against everything that's out there. If you have a good defensive team, a good defensive beast, and things of that nature. And then later on, as the game progresses, once you start getting into the primal mode and you start getting the primal 3 and 4, defense just doesn't hold, man. Like no one's defense is holding. It's all about being able to attack, shattering people's defenses. And while I'm mentioning that, especially with when you're dealing with the research, what's the name of that research? It's going to be Fatal Siege is the name of the research. When you're dealing with the Fatal Siege, the conversion rate increase for enemy troops, converted from severely wounded during the siege, from enemy troops' death converted from severely wounded during the siege. What this does is whenever someone is attacking you, your troops be severely wounded, those severely wounded troops turn into dead troops, or a portion of them turn into dead troops, 20% right here. They turn into dead troops. This is why when you're doing SVS, you will notice if you really look and you check and see the town hall, the people that attack when they hit the town hall, they get no deaths unless someone's hospital is filled on that team for the people that siege, that attack. But the people who are inside the town hall, they actually get deaths. And that applies also for the different buildings around the town hall. Anytime you're doing a PvP on your server, this is going to be the case also. But if you attack someone's city directly, you're probably going to get deaths. But in the buildings, this is what happens. Inside the buildings, whenever you attack someone, the people that's there will get deaths, where the attacker won't get any deaths. If you don't play any PvP outside of the regular PvP game modes, that's it. When I mean PvP, I'm talking about the battle PvPs, Crystal League, Crystal Battle. If you don't play any PvP outside of that, then you have no idea what I'm talking about. If you're not heavily evolved inside your town hall, you probably don't have no idea what I'm talking about, and you probably really haven't even noticed, even if you are. But if you are, look, you will see that the defense will take deaths and the offense will take no deaths. And it's because of that research Fatal Siege, and that Fatal Siege is in the first research center. So that's early in the game. And that's the reason why that's happening. So we like to judge who's doing more damage to the enemy that's inside of the town hall by how many actually get converted to death. So you want to try to get that around 50,000 or more. I could show some examples of that actually coming into effect here. Let's see. We had a lot of losses, so that ain't gonna be hard to see. This is what happens when I don't know why I did that, but this is exactly what happens whenever you're doing whenever you're attacking a town hall, they take deaths. And this comes from Fatal Siege, whereas the siege, the people that's actually attacking, takes none. This is why when you're playing against people in town hall, you're playing with a group of people who may be more superior to you, but they pull out when you come and then they just go right back into attack. Just because they don't want to take any deaths. This is the reason why. So later in the game, the focal point is going to be on just on attacking. So once that happens, then defense becomes less of a priority for people. You know what I mean? Unless you're playing the games where people aren't actually dying. You know, but when you play the other game modes, you'll really get to see it. I mean, I can show you a bunch of reports. It's going to be the same thing each time. You're going to see the people attacking, not taking any. The people who's defending, taking deaths. That comes from Fatal Siege. So the game progresses like that. So that's just it. I really just wanted to go recover the Awaken ability because I had some time. So like, comment, rate, and subscribe.